So today we are going to talk about subject-verb agreement. Before we talk about subject-verb agreement, let us understand what each of the terms mentioned on the board mean. The three terms are subject, verb, and agreement. What is a subject? A subject is normally a noun or a pronoun. Now, in a sentence, a person or thing that is doing the action is the subject. So, a subject is also called doer of action. A verb is a word that denotes action. These are also called doing words because they're always denoting an action that the subject is performing. Now, when we talk about agreement, agreement is in terms of number. As we know, every subject will have a number, or rather, a noun or a pronoun has number. What do you mean by number? Number is basically a singular form or the plural form. Let us take an example. The boy plays basketball. In this case, the subject is the boy. Plays is the verb. So, boy is a singular subject, a singular noun, and the verb that has been used with boy is also singular. Let's take into account another example. They are playing cricket. Here, the subject is they and are playing is the verb. Notice that they is a plural subject and so is the verb are playing. So, it's as simple as that. A singular subject takes a singular verb and a plural subject takes a plural verb. This is what we understand by subject-verb agreement. Moving forward, we need to understand how to study subject-verb agreement with respect to ACT and SAT. In SAT or ACT, what is commonly tested with respect to this? We are tested on something called third person singular and third person plural forms of verbs or verb usage. Of course, since the verb has to agree in number with the subject, it depends on the third person singular subject and third person plural subject. What is a third person singular subject? A third person singular subject could be she, he, it, or one. Whenever we are using third person singular subject in a sentence, the verb will end in an S. And when we are talking about a third person plural subject, that will be they, the verb verbs do not end in S. Let's study this with the help of an example. The girl plays cricket, or she plays cricket. In this sentence, the subject is the girl and the verb is plays. Similarly, in the next sentence, subject is she and verb is plays. In both these sentences, what we can understand is that the word plays has an S, and this is used with a singular subject. So what can be used for the singular subject? Only singular verbs. And hence, proving the first point that we have made, that when we are using a verb with third person singular subject, the verb ends in S. Now, consider this other sentence. The girls play cricket, or they play cricket. In this case, the girls and they are both denoting plural subject. And notice the verbs. They do not have an S. They are the plural verbs. This rule that we just studied is very commonly tested in the SAT or the ACT. Of course, there are other things that has to be remembered when it comes to working on subject-verb agreement questions. The biggest challenge that sometimes occurs is identifying the subject. Always remember, in order to identify the subject, always ask the question, who or what is doing the action. Now, let me take into account this example. The artist paints. In this example, the subject is the artist and the verb is paints. But it becomes a lot easier if you ask who or what. Who or what paints? The answer will always be the artist. Hence, we arrive at the subject. Let's take into account another example. Julie is moving to New York next month. The first rule is to look for the verb. So what is the verb here? The verb is moving. Now let's ask the question. Who or what is moving? The answer will be Julie. Julie is moving to New York next month. So this is a very effective way of identifying the subject in a sentence. The next important thing that we need to remember is the fact about compound subjects. What are compound subjects? A compound subject is formed of two or more nouns or pronouns. And these nouns or pronouns are combined with the conjunction and. In such a case, compound subjects are always plural. Let's take an example. Josh and Julie were at the park. In this sentence, Josh and Julie is the subject, which is plural. Notice the use of the verb were, which is also a plural verb. Always remember that whenever two or more nouns or pronouns are joined with and, that is a compound subject, and compound subjects are always plural. The other thing that you need to understand when you're working on subject-verb agreement situations is that there is something called a prepositional phrase. So a prepositional phrase consists of a preposition plus nouns. And what do we understand by a preposition here? Prepositions are usually short words, and they are normally placed directly in front of nouns. Okay, you'll find a preposition adding meaning or helping us to link nouns or pronouns or phrases together. But they are different from conjunctions, of course. Now, common prepositions that are used are words such as of, to, for, with, on, at, etc. Let's look at a sentence. A combination of iron and copper makes a good alloy. In this sentence, what is the verb? We can understand that the verb here is makes. Makes has an S, so makes is singular. And when do we use a singular verb? We use a singular verb with a singular subject. So, what is the subject? Is it the whole thing? A combination of iron and copper? No. Here, the subject is just combination, which is singular. Of iron and copper is what we call a prepositional phrase. Here, of is a preposition and iron and copper are nouns. Hence, when we are working on a sentence or a complex sentence, longer version, and you're looking for the subject in the sentence, ignore the prepositional phrase. Why? Because a prepositional phrase is never part of the subject. And with that, what we have learnt is that a singular subject takes a singular verb. A plural subject will take a plural verb. We need to remember that compound subjects are always plural, and a prepositional phrase is not part of the subject. Let's end this. Thank you.